800 years after Francis's pilgrimage of peace to the Holy Land, the Franciscans gathered with the Christian and Islamic authorities of Egypt to celebrate the meeting of the Saint of Assisi with the Sultan Malek al-Kamel. 8 centuries later, Francis, as the Pope observed, remains a prophecy for the whole of humanity. He who had gone unarmed in the time of the Crusades, only with the gospel in his hand. The meeting with the Sultan takes place in the middle of the 5th Crusade. It was in the midst of these battles that St. Francis arrived and, with the permission of Cardinal Pelagio, spoke with the Sultan. He arrived in Damietta, and that is precisely where this meeting took place, in the land of Egypt. On Friday, March the 1st, the first pilgrimage occurred at the same places of the meeting in Damietta, north of Cairo, on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, at the intersection with the Nile. Cardinal Leonardo Sandri, prefect of the Congregation for the Oriental Churches and emissary of the Pope, was greeted with great joy by the governor of Damietta, together with the Minister General of the Friars Minor, Brother Michel Perry, Brother Francesco Patton, Custos of the Holy Land, the Apostolic Nuncio in Egypt, Monsignor Bruno Musaro, Brother Kamel Labib, Provincial of the Franciscan Province of the Holy Family in Egypt, the Custodial Vicar, Brother Dobromir Yatsal, Imam Mohammed Abd Fattah, and delegations of the Friars Minor from all over Egypt. In his speech in Damietta, Cardinal Sandri stated that Francis was not afraid of Mohammed and the Sultan was not afraid of the Gospel. He then recalled a recent trip of Pope Francis to Abu Dhabi, the meeting with the Grand Imam al-Hadzar Ahmad al-Tayyeh, and the signing of the document Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together. In the speeches, the amazement and the greatness of this historic encounter between the saint and the Sultan remain to this day.
Oggi, davanti questo mare, dove ci incrociano il mare con il Nilo.
Today, in front of this sea which intersects with the Nile, we can make a promise. We can seek peace in the heart of each one of us. We can become people of peace in our families, in all the communities, in service, at work, wherever we are, and wherever we will be. We can carry this message which the world so badly needs.
Che possiamo portare questo messaggio che il mondo ha tanto grande bisogno.
For us, it is a bit like coming back to this place to thank those who live here today. And I would say that courage was particularly important because, thanks to that journey, St. Francis understood that it was fundamental to have a different approach to the Muslim world. Not violent clash, but the approach that he passes on to us in the rule of not having quarrels, disputes, of being subjects and submits of every human creature for the love of God. That is, to the service of everyone with a clear identity, but also with respect for the identity of others.
Con una identità chiara, però anche nel rispetto dell'identità degli altri.
The emotion of this celebration was also marked by the music of Brother Alessandro Brustenghi and the representation of the meeting in Damietta with a group of Christian and Muslim children. Today was a very beautiful event because these children staged the meeting of St. Francis with the Sultan. Therefore, I hope that by staging it, they have understood the value of that encounter and that they will become true peacemakers.
E che diventino grandi e autentici costruttori di pace.
Going beyond the lines of the Crusader army, Francis of Assisi became a sign in overcoming the barriers between peoples, cultures, and religions. On Saturday, March the 2nd, the University of Al-Azhar in Cairo, a key institution of Sunni Islam, opened its doors to welcome more than 600 guests. A conference on the theme, A Dialogue of Peace and Serenity, was organized together with the Franciscans of Egypt. The envoy of the great Imam Ahmad al-Tayyeb, the Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar, together with various Islamic and Christian authorities, attended the meeting. In the speeches, there were themes related to the Islamic tradition, but also the contents of the declaration signed in Abu Dhabi, as well as thanks to the Franciscans for the wonderful mission of dialogue and peace in Egypt and in the rest of the world. I am very happy at this beautiful meeting that brought together brothers from all over the world and of all the religions. I hope that God will strengthen this true spirit of brotherhood, which aims to keep the world far from evil, aggression and terrorism, which distorted the image of Islam, the image of Christianity. The celebration of the 8th centenary take place a few weeks after the apostolic journey to the Arab Emirates, when Pope Francis and the great Imam of Al-Hazar al-Tayyib signed the document of interreligious dialogue focused on fraternity. For Brother Francis Patton, the document is a splendid actualization of the meeting that took place 8 centuries ago. Ecumenical meetings and interreligious dialogue marked the celebrations. The custos of the Holy Land also visited the Coptic Orthodox Patriarch Tawadros II.
La prima motivazione era quella di esprimere solidarietà alla Chiesa copta.
The first motivation is to express solidarity with the Coptic Church of Egypt, which has been affected many times in recent years. They are truly giving the whole world a testimony of great martyrdom. Then there was the friendship with the Coptic Church. In Jerusalem, we have good relations with Bishop Antonio, with the Coptic community, and I believe it is important to cultivate this type of relationship also from an ecumenical point of view, to do everything we can to cultivate the way of unity by the path of friendship.
Possibile per, attraverso la via dell'amicizia, coltivare anche la via dell'unità.
Every time a member suffers, the other members also suffer, as the Apostle St. Paul says. We appreciate this visit and we say that it is really of great value. During the meeting between the churches of the Holy City, the custos asked me to set a date for the visit from Pope Tawadros II, who welcomed the idea. The Copts are today the largest Christian community in Egypt. In the city of Cairo, among the countless mosques, there are also the various Christian churches belonging to the Greek Orthodox, the Melkites, the Syriacs, the Maronites, the Chaldeans, the Armenians and the Latins. And the Franciscan presence in Egypt? The provincial of the Franciscan province of the Holy Family answers us.
Noi frati minori in Egitto 110 frati con complemento con i studenti.
There are 110 friars in Egypt, 17 schools, 28 cloisters, 22 parishes between Copts and Latins, with different activities throughout the year.
Parrocchie copte, parrocchie latine, abbiamo tante attività durante l'anno, tanti convegni, facciamo almeno 10 convegni all'anno.
We have at least 10 conferences a year. We have clinics and orphanages. Many friars are young. We have a lot of space and a lot of work. Thank God we have room to serve not only the province, but the whole church.
Ringraziamo il Signore perché c'è lo spazio di servire non soltanto la provincia, anche servire per tutta la Chiesa.
The Franciscan friars of the custody have been present in Egypt for centuries, and today they guard the convent of Musci, where the great Latin parish in Cairo has been located for a long time. The Franciscan Center for Christian Oriental Studies, located inside the cloister, was founded by the Custody of the Holy Land in 1954. Today it is at the center of the great Musci and is the first Christian library in Cairo.
In questo momento c'è, come dire, un flusso di studenti, sia cristiani, sia
At the moment there is a flow of students, both Christian and Muslim, who come to consult our works, especially thanks to the translation of texts from Latin into Arabic, because they don't know any language, especially Latin.
in arabo, che questi ragazzi non hanno conoscenze di lingue straniere e in particolare del latino.
Mi trovo dal dicembre 63 in questa casa. Mi sono consacrato.
I've been here since December 1963. I have consecrated myself. They asked me to work here, and I accepted. We have a collection of manuscripts. The first friars, especially Father Giamberardini from the Marche region, he was very much in love with this center.
Se non mi sbaglio, un marchigiano. Lui era molto attaccato e innamorato a questo centro.
On Sunday, March the 3rd, in the Church of St. Joseph, where the Curia of the province of the Friars Minor is located, there was a meeting with the Franciscan communities, the community of the Latin Rite, and the religious and civil authorities. In the letter written for the occasion, Pope Francis expressed the hope that no one will give in to the temptation of violence, especially under some religious pretext, but rather that projects of dialogue, reconciliation and cooperation will be carried out.
It
is a historical, prophetic fact of the new world that we hope will be, among all the religions, of peace, dialogue, understanding, never of violence, and even less of violence in the name of God, never of terrorism, never of the use of force. We ask for this new world through the intercession of the poor man of Assisi, who came without anything, only with his body united to that of Jesus Christ.
Con il suo corpo unito al corpo di Gesù Cristo.
According to Brother Michael Perry, Minister General of the Friars Minor, the opportunity to relive the original Laudato Si and the Canticle of Creatures, and to rediscover that God is present in every person and that this is not a religious matter, is a matter of identity and of the fruit of humanity.
È un evento grande e gioia grande per noi come frati minori in Egitto.
It is a great event, a great joy for us as Friars Minor in Egypt, for all of Egypt, and for all the guests who arrived. The first fruit is hope for all. If 800 years ago this happened in Damietta, we can also have hope, not for our whole life, but for this moment, to be able to repeat the same event that Francis did with the Sultan.
Non per tutta la vita, ma in questo momento possiamo ripetere lo stesso evento che ha fatto Francesco con il Sultan.
According to the customs of the Holy Land, the message of these days is very positive, but beyond the message, this initiative is part of something bigger. When you open a door and a road, it is good to go down that road. And he also speaks of the Abu Dhabi Declaration.
È una dichiarazione molto importante per il futuro dei rapporti.
It is a very important statement for the future of relations between Christians and Muslims, but also, I think, for the future of the world. I was struck by the availability of teachers, religious authorities and young people present. You could see Al-Azhar seminarians and students who participated with great interest. This is something very positive. It means that we can talk about it and we can really build bridges.
Questo vuol dire qualcosa di molto positivo, che ci si può parlare, che si possono realmente costruire dei ponti.